What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mike Dolce Show. Today, we're talking about carbohydrate intake relative to fat. We've gotten this question many times before, and I wanted to answer it in a manner that hopefully is going to be beneficial to you. The main question was essentially, Mike, does the ratio of carbs to fats matter more so than the quality of carbs or fat consumed? First and foremost, the quality matters more than anything. Alan Aragon just put out a very interesting study on the difference between fresh natural fruit and processed fruit and the dramatic benefit advantage to fresh natural fruit as opposed to the more processed version. Check out Alan Aragon's Twitter page to learn more about that. As we drill down deeper, I wanted to get that out of the way. Quality matters more than anything, right? Quality is the most important. But now that we have the quality established, we want to talk about the ratios. Does carbohydrate matter when compared to fat intake? What does that mean? Let's say you're taking in 3,000 calories per day. You're 200 pounds. 800 or so of those calories, let's say 1,000 calories, are going to come from protein. That leaves 2,000 additional calories to come from carbohydrate or fat. And what the predominant question seems to be is, what's more beneficial? Should we be taking in more fat or more carbohydrate? Should it be 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, yada, yada? The true answer is it really depends upon you as the individual and what your long-term goals are. You know that we do not discuss or we do not promote a zero carbohydrate diet to the same manner that we would not promote a zero fat diet nor a zero protein diet. Each of these macro groups have benefit. The benefit is dependent upon you as an individual, your background tempered with your goals. When we consume carbohydrate or fat, you need to be aware of what the actual goal of that consumption is. Are you simply looking for micro and phytonutrient density? Okay, that's really a good place to start. But as we drill down a little deeper, we need to start thinking about what are we trying to accomplish with the ingestion of the macro element of this group, of the actual carbohydrate, of the actual fat source. And with that, I wanted to shed some light on a interesting concept that has been validated through peer-reviewed evidence-based research. The type of carbohydrate or fat you consume has an impact on the energy substrate your body will use during exercise. What does that mean? That means if you typically eat more carbohydrate sources, your body will tend to use more carbohydrates stored as glycogen utilized as glucose. Your body will use more of the carbohydrate stored energy for exertion than it will for fat. Conversely, if you consume more fat typically throughout your day and specifically pre-workout, your body will tend to use a greater amount of fat, stored body fat, as its fuel source. Now, some of you might say, well, Eureka, Dolce, that's it right there. If I eat more fat, I will burn more fat, right? Wrong. That's not necessarily right. What this simply means is your body will have a propensity to utilize more of that specific substrate during exertion. That does not mean your body will burn more of that substrate consistently throughout the day in a 24-hour period. So you might not have the dramatic net fat loss benefit you're considering if you're taking a predominantly fat diet or a fat dense diet. So how do we apply this to our real life? In the real life scenario, what we're looking towards is the type of energy that we're looking to utilize. And most of us, we're training at relative high intensities, higher based intensities, usually with some sort of resistance element, whether it's a CrossFit class or a mixed martial arts class or a traditional weightlifting session, even doing a hard Peloton workout. you're primarily going to be using stored glycogen expressed as glucose as the primary fuel source to fuel those working muscles, allowing you to build more muscle tissue to hit higher repetition ranges with higher total volume or weight on the bar. You're lifting more weight for more repetitions. You're adding to your total volume, the total tonnage utilized, the higher work rate with more glucose bearing substrates. Now, if you are more of an endurance, steady state, long burn, slow burn style of athlete or trainee, you probably do want to consider pre-fueling with more of a higher fat intake. Something like an avocado might go very well for some of you. And this is for some of our athletes you've heard me discuss before. We'll eat typically, maybe half of an orange and a half to a whole avocado, and we'll play with that. The little simple sugar of that carbohydrate helps with a small little perk, but the long-term benefit of having an avocado for let's say a 90-minute run or more will have a greater long-term benefit of the energy of the fuel substrate that's being used. If you're more, again, like the majority of us are more glycolytic, which means we burn more carbohydrate, essentially, more glycogen. If we're more glycolytic in our training, you will be much better off eating a more carbohydrate-dense meal prior to your training session, anywhere between 30 and 90 minutes or so, as far out as 3 hours, but we really like that 90-minute or so pre-training window. In that training window, let's say we're eating a whole white potato, which is very common. You'll see a lot of bodybuilders eat a potato before they go and train. With that, they're offering a preferential substrate tell for the body to use during that training, allowing them to get 1, 2, 3, 4 more reps, to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% more weight to the bar, allowing them to stimulate greater levels of muscle growth, also greater levels of total caloric expenditure. And as we start to look at the totality of the workout, we're going to realize that this is where the gains are truly made. So playing with the carbohydrate fat source, it's much more specific based upon what your goal is. That's why at the Dolce Diet, we talk about eating every 2 to 4 hours based upon activity. What are you trying to recover from, or what do you need to pre-fuel for? This is why we've put that principle into our system. And we think of this as pre-fueling. What energy substrate do we want to use? Will we primarily use? And do we want to influence the body to be more prone to use? So the vast majority of us will be much better off if we simply eat a well-rounded diet, macro-wise, of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Your protein or your carbohydrates and fats, by and large, should be relative to each other at a total caloric intake. A little bit less or a little bit more based upon you as an individual. What is your carbohydrate sensitivity? What is your insulin sensitivity? What is your lean mass ratio? What's happening at a biochemical level inside of you? Most people don't know that. What's your thyroid function? What is your pituitary doing? How are you processing or producing insulin? What's your cardiac respiratory function like? What's going on in the digestive environment? Most people don't consider that. They simply look at a macro template, a calorie template, and they think, hey, that's all I need to know. That's one of the least important aspects of truly determining the most beneficial total caloric intake for you. I hope this helps. If you have any further questions, please ask them below, and I will drill down deeper into more specific context. If I haven't fully answered your question with this short little video, I appreciate each and every one of you being here. If you want something more specific, if you're looking for a personalized nutrition and exercise program, just go to thedolcediet.com and you can join our #1 rated online personalized diet and exercise program. This is all at thedolcediet.com. Again, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell for notifications, leave a thumbs up for this video. but definitely leave a comment below. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I want to hear what further questions you might have so I can help you make sure you're achieving all your goals and making all them gains. Until next time, boom.